Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go for a walk? For us, winter means coming back to the desert. And one of our favorite things is walking up desert washes. They're these wonderful little hidden seams of treasures. Flowers and plants, the rare birds and animals that they shelter, rocks you might not normally see, anything that the rare water might bring. Belle loves the smells, and I love the textures. Especially now that I've been so focused on learning textile crafts and art, I'm so drawn to these organic patterns and colors. I love watching spring hit the desert. Every day there are a few more bright flowers. And in this dry landscape, it doesn't take much to shift the mood. The ocotillos are my favorite. They go from looking dead, like a bundle of dry sticks, and then you start seeing these little green leaves, and then the red blossoms come out, and they stand out from so far away. They're just so bright. So I'm going to sew these edges together, and then sew the top to the base, cut out some straps, sew the straps to the base and the top, and it'll be done. I've cut out these long rectangles of fabric already, and then ironed these creases into them so that they fold up easy, and it'll make it much easier to sew that way. There's a middle crease, and then creases to fold the edges in, and then you fold it all together and sew it up like that, and it'll make for a nice sturdy strap. Another part of winter in the desert is wind. So I just want to apologize ahead of time about the wind you'll hear in the background. But anyway, back to the bag, which is finally done. There it is. Get to focus. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it's just a silly little fun bag, but yeah, to remind you, I don't know what I'm doing yet. Don't use this as a pattern or a guide at all. This is just me practicing. But yeah, I really like how these more typical seams turned out. They look a lot cleaner than that last bag. Try and get some light here. yeah, if you don't see the stitch lines and they don't look perfectly straight, or rather, because you can't see the stitch lines, you can't tell if they're perfectly straight or not, and it doesn't look as messy. So I like that. On the straps you can see the stitch lines, and this is where, get this to focus maybe. I played around a little bit with different zigzag widths and such, and you can tell it's still kind of messy. I went a bit fast in some places and slow in others, and that's kind of why, you know, it doesn't look perfect there. I was okay with it on this because, again, just practicing. This strap, I mean, I've got some bunching going on here and there, and yeah, I need to kind of figure out what's going on with that so I can avoid that in the future. Yeah, one of the bigger goals for this was to play with the different crochet thicknesses and stuff and see how that turned out, because I kind of want to make clothes that are like that. You know, just kind of patch together some different fabrics and yarn and just play with it. But I can tell the thicknesses of the yarn really makes a difference. I need to maybe account for that more for clothes, because like here you have a nice pattern, right? And then it's just a bit bunched up and thick with this thicker yarn. That would be fairly uncomfortable to wear. And the other thing is, you can tell this is fairly wrinkly on the cloth side of things, because I was trying to iron on just a big flat surface, and so I was trying to do multiple layers of ironing, and so it would crinkle one side when the other side got straightened. And yeah, I should probably get an actual ironing board. That'll be one of the tools that makes a bit of a difference. So some of the other things I've been working on, I recently got a Nintendo Switch, which is just kind of your modern Game Boy. But yeah, side note, I love this thing. I've been playing a lot of Skyrim on it, which is just kind of your typical fantasy world, swords and shields and magic, a hiking simulator when I miss the mountains. The cool thing about this though is the little controls come off and they're motion sensitive, so you can swing swords and fireballs. It's really fun that way. But anyway, it has this really nice big screen and I wanted to protect it. So I learned how to knit, as you do. I made this really simple case for it, which is just a rectangle of fabric with a stockinette stitch, because it has a smooth side and then a rough side. I put the smooth side on the inside to protect the screen. And yeah, this is basically just the bottom third is sewn up on the side. And it just folds up. It kind of doesn't hold its shape all that great, and it picks up a fair amount of dog hair. I think if I was to redo this, it would be with a more sturdy yarn that didn't pick up so much dog hair too. Kind of like the bag. I think that would have been a nice yarn for it. But that's okay. I do love this yarn. This is the other project I've been working on. This beast is going to be a sweater scarf. So it's basically just a scarf at this point. Yeah, this was a lot of nights of work. And the way this works is just kind of your typical scarf, but on each end it has these stitches that sort of close in, and then you sew up the sleeves. So it's sleeves and then open scarf here, another sleeve over here, and it'll be nice and warm and cozy now that it's hot in the desert. That's okay. I'm excited for that. This is just about done. But yeah, this was a lot of nights in front of the TV and listening to podcasts. I've learned a lot of things in all of these stitches. One of my favorite things that I watched while I was making that is the show Project Runway, which is a reality competition show that I used to watch a few years back. But it's all about fashion design, and yeah, this whole competition around it. My favorite part though is watching the designer's thought process, going through all the challenges that they have to make things out of different materials, and just the way you get to see their minds work when they approach different challenges and sewing techniques and just the whole process. It's fun. It's fun to watch. One of the designers on the season that I watched was self-taught through YouTube, is what he was saying. And he was really good at menswear and very precise and technical. He had a great sense of style. So that was pretty inspiring. Yeah, some of the other YouTube channels that I've been watching and are really inspiring. Angelina from Blueprint DIY is really inspiring. She finds thrift store clothes, or she'll find, take older items from her closet and upcycles them into clothes that fit her now, or designs and styles that she wants to try. Yeah, it's just really fun. Another YouTube channel that I like lately is Bliss Foster, who watches runway shows and runway fashion, but as an art form. Less about looking at clothes as, oh, would I wear that? Would I buy that? But more digging into the designer's side of things and the story they're trying to tell and all of the history and context that goes along with it. Yeah, that's been really interesting too. I've also been listening to a lot of fashion podcasts, and the other day I found this whole world kind of mind-blowing that's digital fashion. Yeah, so if you don't know, I'm a web developer. I love techie things. Been a geek and a nerd my whole life. So this whole crossover of textiles and patterns and fashion design, and then 3D modeling and video games and that sort of design, there's a little world where all of that crosses over. Yeah, it's really exciting. In fact, there is a brand new master's program put on by an Italian university along with a French university. Yeah, I don't know how to say their names, but it's an international Master of Science in Digital Fashion Communication. So I got looking at the course list because, to backtrack a little bit, I taught myself programming about 10 years ago, kind of doing the same sort of thing, looking at various university programs and online training programs and just kind of building myself a curriculum. Not that I necessarily have any plans for a career in fashion, but this digital fashion crossover world kind of looks like a cool place to aim, or at least play in. I think with all of the textile crafting, learning to sew and knit and crochet, along with that comes learning how to read patterns, right? But then it seems like people fairly commonly move over into making their own patterns. And I would like to be able to sketch my own designs and thoughts and, make them more visible. But also I do want to learn the 3D modeling to go along with it, because I think it'd be really cool to make my own patterns that way. And then also maybe export them to games like The Sims, or, really, last year I was already learning 3D design and modeling with Unity, which is a free way to make games. So I'm super stoked about all of this, and definitely gonna share more of this in future videos.